the dog morphed into a man, and my mom got a very evil feeling from this man. Hi everyone! I'm Liv and this is Em and we're your Meta Psyckicks. I like how you look like you're dying.
I always look like I'm dying. So this is Liv. She is a psychic medium, and tonight on this very spooky day, and obviously in our very white pretty room, she's going to tell us her spooky medium stories that are sure to freak you out.
They freaked me out.
Yeah, so she's gonna start with the day she figured out she was a medium.
So I was 7 or 8 years old, playing outside, doing kid things, girl things. I was a real big tomboy. Playing by my favorite tree, and it was lunchtime. My father had trained me when lunchtime was by making me chicken nuggets and fruit cups and juice boxes. So I was on my merry old way, coming from the tree, and there was a big green field that I had to get past to get back to my dad's house. So as I was walking through the field, I looked up, and there was a man standing there, just chilling, standing there, right? So I'm looking at him, he's wearing blue jeans, a black t-shirt, he's got his hair slicked back, but then when I got to his face, he had no facial features. Like, you know when you're looking at like a newspaper and someone smudged a letter and you know it was a letter, but now it's a smudge? That's what his face looked like. Imagine playing outside as a little kid, you see some person, red flag number 1, and then you get to the person's face, red flag number 2, and there's nothing there. No facial features, nothing. So 8-year-old me booked it around this guy. Big old U-turn, run into my dad's house. I get through the front door and my dad turns around and is all of his dad glory with some chicken nugs on his tray. And he's like, what are you doing? So I tell him what's wrong. Obviously he was concerned because his kid was playing outside and said that she saw a man standing there. So red flag. He sits me down to eat some dinner. He's like, it's no big deal, just eat your chicken nuggets. He walks out and he comes back and he's like, I didn't see a guy, you should be fine. He's like, well, can you tell me what he looks like so I can let other people know? So 7 or 8-year-old Olivia is like, yeah, he's wearing a blue jeans, he's got a black t-shirt, he's got his black hair slicked back, he's got boots on. And my dad's like, well, what was his face like? And I was like, that's the thing, he didn't have a face.
So was his head there?
Yeah, his head was there. It just was like a full body apparition.
He just like didn't have eyes or a nose?
It was like foggy almost, like a smudge. But you know, no one was there because was he actually there? As most shared parenting goes, I returned to my mother's house after my dad had dropped me off for the end of the weekend, and my mom goes into her spiel of, oh honey, how was your weekend? So my 8-year-old little rambling goes on and tells her, and when I get to the part about the man with no face, obviously she gets concerned because now she also wants to know why there's a strange man in the same area that her child is playing in. And but when I get to the part about him not having a face, she seems a little put off, but not as much as my dad, I guess. So that week I'm walking home from elementary school. I get home, I lock the door behind me, I'm walking through my house, and I felt to the staircase by our living room, and I look up to the top of the staircase at my mother's house, and the man with no face is sitting there. I freaked out. I go to call my mom who's at work, and I call her, I'm like, mommy, I see the man at the top of the stairs. She's like, what do you mean there's someone in the house? So then I slow down and tell her that it's the guy that I saw at my dad's house. She tells me, she goes, what I want you to do is I want you to stay where you are, and I want you to say, you are not welcome here, and you are being mean because you're scaring me. So I'm like, okay. So I start saying that, and the anxiety I'm feeling and the feeling of being watched only intensifies. And I'm on the verge of tears at this point, and my mom in her stern mother voice goes, put me on speakerphone. And I start arguing with her, of course. And she's like, put me on speakerphone. So I did, and she starts yelling to no one. She's like, you better leave my daughter alone. You're not welcome in this house. You're scaring her. You're not allowed to do this. Go back to wherever you came from, blah, blah. Like, she was going off at this ghost. And I almost immediately felt the feeling of my anxiety lessening and that feeling of someone being in the room lessen as well. I remember she's like, do you feel better? She's like, is he gone? I didn't go look, but I said, yeah, I feel better. I feel like he's gone, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, okay, if it happens again, just call me. It's no big deal. Well, that night she got home and she sat me down and she said, we have to talk about the man that you're seeing. And she said, I don't want to alarm you, but when I was your age, I used to see people too. And I was like, well, doesn't everybody...
Sixth sense. Everybody sees ghosts.
I was like, well, doesn't everybody see ghosts? She's like, no. And I didn't say ghosts. I said, well, doesn't everybody see these people? And she goes, no, not everybody sees these people. My mother's adopted, so her family is not biologically related to her. So her Russian immigrant grandmother, she would tell that she would see dead people too. And my grandmother was also very religious. So imagine this little child and you're an older woman sitting in church and your granddaughter's like, Grandma, I want to tell you about this person that I'm seeing in church. So my grandma would hand my mother her rosary beads and say, you better hush up and don't talk to this to other people. That was the first time I saw a person. And I saw him, I actually named him. His name was Oliver, because as a child it helped me.
It's like spiders. If you name them, makes them less scary.
Exactly. Yeah. My mother actually told me to give him a name because it would make it less scary. And I want to say I probably saw him for like 4 or 5 months intermittently when I was a child. And it got to the point where I would just be like, I don't know what you want, so why are you hanging around? You should go find someone else to talk to. Because at that point, my abilities were different. They have developed a lot more and in different ways since then. I no longer see people, thank God, for different reasons. That's just something that I've worked on.
So Liv is a psychic medium, but there are other levels of being a psychic. And you can go ahead and figure this out with our quiz that is linked in the description below. You can figure out if you're a sensitive or a psychic or even a psychic medium. So make sure you check out that in the description below. Now we'll go to an even creepier story about reincarnation. Is it real or is it not?
So this story isn't actually my own. It's from my mom when she first started to embrace her mediumship.
Which, if you guys are interested, all of her information for readings will be down in the description below. So make sure you check her out.
So at the beginning of my mom's journey, she started doing some readings at parties. So people would hire her. She would stay during the whole duration of the party, and anybody that was invited could just have a sit down with her for a fee, and she would give them psychic or medium readings. It's super fun, really great time. All of the readings were going normal, not anything out of the ordinary. When the host sat down of the party, they were this couple, super cute. They owned a little brown Yorkie and threw parties all the time. They were known for their parties. So she starts talking to them, and they really only wanted a psychic reading because they kind of weren't comfortable with a medium reading, but a little white dog popped in. So she asked the couple, they were 2 men, if she could proceed with a medium reading if they felt comfortable about it. It was just a dog. And they're like, oh yeah, we had a dog that ran away from us and we always wondered what happened to him. And she goes, well, he showed me that he didn't like living here and that he did run away on purpose. She said it was a little white dog, right? And they're like, oh yeah, it was a little Bichon Frise. He was really cute when we got him and we thought he'd get really get along with our little Yorkie that they had. It was a really cute little girl. And when they said that, the dog showed my mother that he always was mean to the Yorkie. And during the time that she was at the party, the Yorkie and her were talking, because talking to animals runs in our family as well. So like and subscribe, there's more videos for that.
No, actually, go to our page and book your pet reading with Olivia the Medium.
I do pet readings. So the little white dog was showing her how he didn't like living there. He would torment the Yorkie all the time. And he did run away on purpose. Well, all of a sudden, the dog, in her mind, because that's how we see things in our mind's eye, morphed into a man. And my mom got a very evil feeling from this man. And her demeanor changed, and the couple in front of her, they both asked her, well, what just happened? What's wrong? And she goes, well, your dog just turned into a person. And this man started showing her the life he had before he was a dog. And his previous life, before he was reincarnated into this little white dog that was owned by 2 men in a happy relationship that would throw parties with people of a different color. And their dog was also brown. This man was a very evil slave owner. He was showing my mom the things he used to do to people, the type of status that he had. That is as much as I'm going to talk about him, because he's a very terrible person, and it scares me talking about him. But at the end of the reading, she pushed him away, said it wasn't a big deal, but they started talking about reincarnation. And I know some religions don't believe in reincarnation, but for the fact that a man who was a slave owner in his previous life and was a horrid human being to be reincarnated as a little white dog who was owned by 2 gay men that would throw parties with people of different color, I think is great.
Karma.
It's called karma. And obviously I don't know about his life again. I don't believe he's been reincarnated yet again, but I think reincarnation is real, and that is the one story that I have of reincarnation. And it's not even my own, it's my mom's. So pretty scary, really spooky. Make sure that you do things correctly in this life, because spirit and the world has a great way of teaching you lessons. Yeah, super spooky. It's what it's like to be a medium. It's really weird.
If you guys have any paranormal stories for yourself, we would love to hear them. So we have a link below where you can sign up for our newsletter and give us your best paranormal story. But make sure any story you give is completely original, because we will check to make sure it is not online. And those stories we will put into one of our next videos, so you will get featured on our channel. However, if this spooky story really got your heart pumping, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because in our next video, we're going to teach you how to align your chakras so that you might have a crazy experience too.
Join us next Wednesday as we guide you through your chakras as your total Meta Psyckicks. And that's how he presented himself, was first as a dog and then as his former life, which is the evil man that he was.
Oh, so he's a ghost, and he came through your mom as a ghost.
Yes.
Got you.
But he confirmed that he was a person before he was a dog, and he was a horrible person.